Alright, so another arena video, probably much shorter than the previous one, but today it's just showing really how you farm these new schematics here. And you probably don't want to spend anything on this one, it's very easy to farm from the new legendary, so the goal is to get 1,500 tickets for each one of these. Maybe you just want one of them, I'm gonna have to buy both to actually do the DPS test for them and see which ones are good or not. Thankfully arena doesn't use any ammo, so once you have these, or one of them, you can farm the other one using it without wasting any ammo. Then we got all these whistles that you might want, and against the master tier, you get 15 tickets. So this is like 100 fights, you got 10 fights here. I'm going to be showing the build I'm using, and fight a couple of the bosses. I might end up speeding some up just to get the average time for a couple of these fights. So the party that I'm currently using is this Noclum. This one is pretty much set in stone as the main pal. I still might switch Ferocious for Serenity, so that's something to consider. Then we have Bastigor 1, focused on just Meteor Rain, Holy Burst, like a bunch of different skills here. And then we got Bastigor 2 with Siren of the Void for double Blizzard Spike and Glacial Impact. Maybe could have done some other third skill here. So a lot of the skills are still a little bit up in the air, but usually, like most of the time is spent in the cutscenes. So if the fight is like plus minus 5 seconds, won't make a huge amount of difference, but you still want something good. Then we have these two temporary filler pals. So Vampiric, you don't want Vampiric in the arena. If you do the math, like there's 3 targets, so you could pretty much take that. It's gonna take down 1 pal on average. You check the health, it's around 10,000 health. And then you check how much is healing from that. You got like 500, you add player damage to that. So your pal is gonna be healing like 300 to 500 health during a fight or something with Vampiric. Not very good. If you want something defensive here, add Diamond Body or something. And this one has the better passives, but I'm still considering these two might be swapped for some sort of fire counter, because these pals suffer against fire. There are 2 pretty tough firefights in the arena, in the N tier league, the Master League, so I'm considering swapping these, but it's gonna take probably a week or 2 to breed this stuff, so I wanted to show this video pretty quickly, just the kind of setup I'm using right now to farm these legendary schematics. For the armor, it's the cold resistant Hexalite, just a bunch of gear here. I am going to be using all these whistles because you're going to see when I enter the arena that player damage is not really something that I'm using a lot of. Then I'm not sure, I can't really claim that these work or not, but I am going to be running them just in case. So take out 6 of these. Just give them to yourself and the pals. And then I'm not sure if these kind of things work in the arena. I can't really check my stats in there, but we'll see. I guess maybe I can see if my health goes up a little bit, we'll know or not. But it doesn't seem to really time down in the arena. It seems to time down when we're outside the arena. Also, these pals are lacking in trust. They don't trust me yet, so that's not maxed. For the weapons, you're gonna see why I'm running these kind of weapons pretty soon, I think. For this one. The MK2 grenades are just really good. They do plasma cannon DPS to all 3 pals. Rocket launcher to focus the tamer. And then I'm just having a bunch of whistles here for the Bastigors, and then for the water pals. We got the defense, we got the attack. I got these from the huge fishing pond, if you want to farm them. So now we're gonna jump straight in. I think I'm gonna do a couple of fights. Maybe not do commentary on all of them. But I want to take like an average fight timer so we can see how long it's going to take to do these fights for those schematics. So I will be starting a timer somewhere around here for myself. And you can see the ticket reward is 10 to 15. 20 should be an average 15. We're just going to jump straight in. Wait, before we jump straight in, one thing I want to show, or wanted to do rather, I want to start on the rocket launcher here. Rocket launcher, just good to have it selected. Then we see what kind of pals the opponent is bringing, if it's the fire pals or not. Yeah, so this is the toughest fight in the arena. So we're going to start straight off with the B team. This is the B team. It's going to be used for Black Marketeer and the Fiery Tamer. Otherwise we're using these to farm. So starting straight off with the toughest fight should be good. Then we should get a pretty good average. So you want to start by shooting the rocket, because the tamers annihilate your pals. They do a ton of damage. Just as soon as you can. And then you start throwing these grenades around. And you can probably see that they're gonna deal a bit of damage. It's not great. But then you get this Black Marketeer shooting your pals. You don't want that. And you can sort of just keep him busy with the rocket launcher. Your pals do their thing. But this is kind of specifically for the Black Marketeer. Just keep him busy. He won't attack if you're grenading him, if you're rocket launchering him. It's not ideal. This is the slowest fight, I feel. There are a couple of other fights that can be slower, just with some bad luck and repositioning skills. But it's mostly just keep the Black Marketeer CC'd. Not super fun. But we'll just keep him busy. And we can see the pals are slowly dying behind us. And that's the fight. 50 seconds against that one, and I think that's the longest fight in the arena. There are some outliers. You might get some fights that are like over a minute. If the pals dodge a couple of holy bursts, it's pretty similar to like the raids. Sometimes you get raids that are a minute long, sometimes you get 4 minutes long. Just because you missed like stun timers and holy bursts. So now we swap back to that rocket launcher. We go straight back in. And we see what opponent we have. So you're gonna see that a lot of the time is spent in these kind of menus. Friendly pal tamer, then we take the A team. So this is the actual good team that might get some pretty quick kills. I'm not sure if you can leave the arena, like if it's worth just running like max speed pals and just ignoring the Black Marketeer fight. Again, shoot the tamer and then start throwing grenades. Use the Knockland partner skill, maybe I forgot to mention that in the first video. But then we're just throwing grenades, but you can see it's like 100 damage per grenade. It's still not huge. The player damage is pretty bad in the arena. So it's better to just focus the tamer. So the tamer is dealing a lot of damage in these fights. Yeah, they're all grouped up nice. Looking pretty good there. No, you don't get to shoot. You can even stand in front of the bullets if you want, because the player isn't really taking a lot of damage. Okay, so my health, I am not healing, right? I was not healing there. So the health potion doesn't work, which makes me believe that the food isn't working either. So it might not be worth, but it's one of those just in case kind of things until I can do a proper test to see. Like probably just like shooting the rocket launcher grenades at some pals and then doing the same thing once I get the same tamer, but I'm not doing that right now. You can see it's wearing down slowly, but it doesn't look like it's going down in the arena. So we go back to the rocket launcher next to the grenades and we go back in. And I'm gonna speed up this part a little bit because I did want a couple of fights against different tamers and some of them going a little bit longer from randomness. So the one happening right now took over a minute just because Valaris flew away. Then we have a couple of shorter fights when they don't fly away, where pals just get insta-killed. Sometimes the Hydro Slicer just kills all of them. So I feel like I got a pretty nice average here. Some 1 minute fights and some like 15-second fights. And one pretty quick fight here against the Black Marketeer. Then we're gonna go right back to normal speed for the last fight. And we see, oh no, no rocket. Which weapon is it? Okay, a missile, that's not great. Let's see if we can scroll real quick. Perfect, they're all stacked. Don't run towards me, please. That's nice. That's the kind of fight we want to see. The Berserkers shot a rocket. That slowed it down a little bit. But that was a pretty quick fight. Okay, so the end timer here for 6 fights was exactly 10 minutes on the dot. Which means that doing these 100 fights with this setup will take me 2 hours and 45 minutes for one legendary schematic. And I want 2. So let's just say 6 hours of farming for these schematics. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be worth it for me to breed a separate team. I am going to do it just because I'm probably going to want to make a guide for it. But once you reach this kind of stage, the majority of the time is just spent in loading screens. So you don't need to like min-max a specific team if you're getting consistent wins in under a minute. So overall, I think I'm going to use this team maybe while breeding up some new pals. But that's it for this. Thanks for watching.